What's up, Film Jammers? Today we're checking out three popular cinema zoom lenses. We have the brand new DZOFilm Pictor 20-55mm T2.8 zoom lens. We have the classic Angenieux Optimo DP 16-42 T2.8 zoom lens, and the Sigma Art 18-35 f1.8 lens, which we'll actually be using the stills version of. On one end of the spectrum, the Angenieux zoom lens is about $18,000 new, while the DZO is only about $2,300. So is it worth almost 8 times the cost? Let's see how these lenses stack up side by side in this week's Cinema Zoom Lens Showdown. Oh, zoom in. Oh, zoom in, zoom in, zoom. Film. Okay, so today we're gonna take these three lenses and put them through a number of tests, including sharpness, flares, color, bokeh, and breathing. Hi, I'm Dr. Let's Be. I have a PhD in psychology and ice cream flavor technology. That's why I love lenses. Come join us. We'll be filming on the Blackmagic URSA Mini G2 4.6K in ProRes. And we'll also talk about some of the pros and cons of each zoom lens. But where should we start? Sharpness. The Sigma lens actually seemed to be the sharpest lens to me, but it almost looked a bit too clinical. The DZOFilm and Angenieux lenses were very close in sharpness, almost too close to tell even looking at them 200% zoomed in side by side. I'd say any of these lenses should be sharp enough from T4 and up for most applications. Even at T2.8, they're all quite sharp. Wow, I'm impressed. Can you see why I love lenses? The flares seemed noticeably different to me on all the lenses. The Angenieux has its signature rainbow flares, which has a lot of character, and the DZOFilm had almost a star-like quality to the flares, which also were nice, but seemed a bit more controlled. The Sigma looked the smoothest and had the least character for me. Overall, I preferred the Angenieux lens flares the most, but the DZOFilm also had nice flaring as well. The Angenieux Optimo is quite a bit warmer than the other lenses, and you can see this in the skin tones and in the color chart. Personally, I like the warmth of the Angenieux and how it renders those skin tones, but if you prefer a cooler look, the other lenses do tend more towards those cooler tones. The DZO Film Pictor lens and the Sigma seem to have more circular shaped bokeh, while the Angenieux has a more crescent shaped oval bokeh. So depending on your taste, they all have a distinctive look to the bokeh, and for me, I actually prefer the DZO bokeh the best. The Sigma is the most limited in its zoom range, maxing out at 35mm on the telephoto end. The DZO film zooms all the way into 55mm, but sacrifices the wide end, only widening out to 20mm. I think the Angenieux seems to be the best range of focal length for me personally out of these three, with a widest focal length of 16mm and then zooming into 42mm on the telephoto end. Each lens has its strength, but if I had to pick one focal range that I found most useful, it would probably be the Angenieux. I could also see the DZO lens being very useful for certain projects where you want to zoom in a little more and have that 55mm telephoto end. But personally, on a wide angle zoom, I'd prefer to shoot wider than 20mm. I think the Angenieux lens at 16mm on the wide end makes a perfect gimbal and Steadicam cinema zoom lens. So the range of the DZO is nice, but I feel like I would need another wide angle lens in my kit if I was shooting with the DZO. These lenses have quite a difference in their price points. The Sigma lens that we tested was just around $800. Now they do make a cinema version of that same lens that's about $4,000. But it's basically just a rehoused version of the 18-35 photo lens, and it's not Parfocal, while the DZO and Angenieux are both Parfocal. Now the DZO Pictor zoom lens is just $2,289. At the top of the stack, the Angenieux Optimo DP 16-42 lens is $18,000 new. Now you can pick them up used for about half that now, but still it costs quite a bit more than the other lenses. So as far as best bang for your buck on a wide angle cinema zoom lens, the DZO film is pretty hard to beat. The DZO Pictor zoom lens is the only lens out of these three where you can user swap the lens mount. To me, this is a huge benefit over the other two lenses. Being able to swap the lens mounts from EF to PL on the DZO film makes them a lot more marketable as a rental item, and also gives you more options on what cameras you can use them on. We were able to swap the lens mounts ourselves in about 5 minutes, and it's not necessarily something I'd recommend doing in the field as there are some shims that need to be added, but you could do it in a pinch. DZO for the win! The DZO film is almost 3/4 pounds lighter than the Angenieux 16-42 zoom lens, and the Sigma 18-35 is much lighter than both of these lenses as it's a stills photo lens. The Angenieux is already one of the lightest cinema zoom lenses in its class, so the DZO knocking almost a pound off of the weight is a pretty nice plus. Time for a diet, Mr. Angenieux. All of these lenses cover super 35mm sensors. They're not designed for large format or full frame cameras, so keep that in mind. Well, if that wasn't enough info for you, how about a convenient lens chart comparing all of these lenses? Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Lens P again. Check out our lens technological specifications chart. Look at the f-stops. Look at the t-stops. It's got image circle. Let's get the prices. Coming up now. All right, well, I hope seeing these lenses compared side by side was helpful. I think for me, what was the most surprising was how well the DZO Film zoom lens compared to the Angenieux Optimo lens, which is a pretty highly regarded cinema zoom, and it's been used on a ton of Hollywood-grade movies. The DZO might not have quite as nice skin tones or the wider focal range of the Angenieux, but at almost $15,000 less, you get a pretty nice lens. A friend of mine was actually filming with this exact lens that we tested on a feature, and one of the other camera operators started using it and fell in love with it and actually ordered it while filming because they liked it so much. There haven't been many cinema zoom lenses in this price range with this quality, and I think it's going to be a really popular lens. Let us know what you think about these lenses down in the comments. I'm Christian with Film Jams, and we'll see you next week. Oh, zoom, 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 zoom! Yeah. Lens analysis, lens technical specifications. Focus distance, what the else is on the chart? I'm Dr. Lens P.